Welcome back, everyone, to the A.D.D show, where we're not always right, but we're never wrong. As always, I'm Mark.
And I'm Hans, and welcome back, everybody. Week 1 is in the books, and we are moving into week 2. I will say, what a good week 1. A lot of really good games. A lot of games I didn't see happening the way they did. But how was your weekend with the games? Everything good?
Yeah, I mean, it was, off my projections, I went 8-8.
Yep.
I did get the upset, the Raiders over the Ravens.
Yep.
And I did get the lock, the 49ers over the Lions.
Yep.
I'm not really sure, as a Bengals fan, I was ecstatic about that win, only because that's games we lose.
Yeah.
And in the past, we've lost. And they came back. They did everything they had to win that game, and they won it. A couple surprises for me in week 1 weren't necessarily the teams that won, but how they won. So, obviously, the big talk all week was Saints over Green Bay. You probably could have convinced me the Saints were going to win, but not that way.
No.
And then I also had Eagles over Falcons. I had the Falcons win the game because I just didn't believe in the Eagles. But the Eagles absolutely trounced them. It wasn't a good game at all.
And I won't take this away from the Eagles because I still think they're going to be a bottom team in the division. But the Falcons aren't going to be a good team. And if anybody thought they weren't looking at it correctly because their defense is very bad. And their offense, they have Kyle Pitts and they have Ridley, but they don't have an offensive line. Their running back is always been a backup somewhere else and never really been a great number 1 running back. Mm-hmm. The other thing is Matt Ryan isn't the same Matt Ryan he was. He has not been the same since that Super Bowl loss.
Yeah.
Not even close to the same Matty Ice. He's just Matt Ryan now. No more Matty Ice. So I will say that was an important win because that's the best team in the NFC East right now. I mean, according to win-loss. You know what I mean? But
right.
And that was not what anybody expected to see happen.
Right. The Chargers didn't look good, but Washington looked worse.
Yeah.
And I think the Chargers didn't look good because of the defense they were playing.
Yeah.
But also, is it possible the Chargers got full of themselves and thought, we have the offense we need. All we have to do is put a little defense together, and reading it and watching some of it, I just didn't see a cohesive unit.
Well, they also have a new head coach. That could have a little bit to do with it. Mm-hmm. I think – I don't want to say the Chargers are legit, but I'm going to put them in that middle 10 to 20 category where I think they could be on the edge of the playoffs. But again, you got to remember, the Chargers didn't look good in that win, but they also just played the second best front 7 defense in the entire league, if not the best. Right. And they looked not so great. So imagine what they could do against Dallas's defense this week. And things like that. So I think they will, again, you're going to look good against good teams. But the thing is, can you look good against even the really good teams? Right. So, for example, DC looked good. Chargers scored against DC's defense.
I wouldn't say DC looked good.
But they did, but I'm saying defense-wise. They did enough to look good.
Okay.
But it's the same thing with Dallas's bad defense, right? But we also scored over 30 points on the best defense in the league, on front 7 at least. Yeah. So these are things, can you take small moral wins? And DC, did they get that moral win out of that loss? And I expected more out of DC. And I know I'm not a DC fan. I watched the entire game, and I expected more. I expected that defense to be lights out and shut down against a line that's not that good.
Yeah, I think losing Fitzpatrick early killed them.
I do too. I think in the long run they'll be happy with Heineke. But again, I still think Fitzpatrick was that missing piece, and we talked about it literally last week.
Yep.
Is Fitzpatrick the answer? Now it's, even though Heineke's now worse, a little more mobile, is Heineke the answer? And I think with the Fitzpatrick injury, that makes the Giants and Dallas even more hungry for that first place because DC is going to have to find ways to win games, and it can't be just on their defense.
Yeah, and I mean the Giants. God, I don't even want to talk about the Giants, to be honest. Arizona surprised me the way they beat. I picked Arizona to win.
Yeah.
It surprised me how they won.
Yeah.
That was surprising. And I was even surprised, how high-scoring the Ravens-Raiders game was. And the fact that the Ravens had that game.
They did, twice.
In hand. And up 14 going into the third quarter. you don't lose that game. Like, you can't lose that game. If you're a Super Bowl contender, you can't lose that game. I don't care that you're on the road and you have so many injuries. You can't give up 33 points if you're a top 5 defense in the league to a team that
only has one weapon.
It was so surprising to me. Like, when I woke up, I went to bed and they were down 14.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, well, I thought they'd win, but I guess I was wrong. And then I woke up and I'm like, overtime? Like, what the hell happened? Like, and then I see that they were up with 34 seconds left. They were up 3. Yeah. They kicked a field goal with 34 seconds left to take the lead, 27-24. And I'm like, and you gave up a field goal in 34 seconds? Like, if you're a top defense,
you don't let that happen.
You don't let that happen.
And that's because I think, and this we know, people know that we don't really like the Ravens, but I don't think they're as good as people think. Mm-mm. I don't think the defense is as good as it was 2 years ago, and the offense 100% is not cohesive.
Right.
This was the first time for 58 plays that offense played together, not including the overtime.
Right.
And I'm also going to go on a limb here, and I'm going to start extending this olive branch farther. Lamar Jackson's a liability. He had 3 fumbles in that game. That happens more than you think.
Yes.
He can't hang on to the ball, and you know what loses games.
Yes.
Turnovers lose games more than any other stat.
Yep.
And if you can't hold on to the ball, if you're not throwing it to the other team, you fumble it twice or 3, lose it twice, and an interception. You can't do that.
No, you can't. And it's, I just think it's going to be interesting going forward.
I do too.
Because I don't think it's going to get better. I think they're going to have to, eke out some wins here and try to. I mean, they got the Chiefs this week, and I'm telling you right now, it's my lock of the week this week that the Chiefs beat the Ravens.
Yeah.
I don't think the Ravens can even sniff.
But you think about it, the Ravens start 0-2. That's a bad start to start with the Bengals getting a win. That's a bad start with the Steelers getting a win.
Right.
And that's a bad start even though the Browns lost. The Browns got a better matchup this week.
Yeah, so rookies.
Yeah.
Every single rookie quarterback that was drafted in the first round played.
Yep.
Okay. Wilson played pretty good.
Yeah, I thought he played pretty well.
I didn't expect much more out of him.
No.
Mac Jones played within himself.
Yeah.
Didn't make any mistakes. He didn't fumble. He didn't throw an interception. They started trusting him as the game went on to
he threw
push
a lot
the
of
ball,
passes.
Push the ball downfield.
He had like 30 passes, didn't he?
They win that game. Harris fumbles inside the 20-yard line to win the game.
You know what his first game reminded me of? A lot of Burrow's first game. Check down, not in a bad way.
No,
play it safe,
it's
get
definitely
comfortable.
Short passes and everything, and then they opened up the playbook as the game went on.
Yep.
And he looked good. He looked like he was going to be the best rookie quarterback in the draft. 5 rookies, I'm sorry. 5.
5.
Yep.
Trey Lance played?
Trey Lance, yeah.
Oh, he threw a touchdown, didn't he?
Yep. He ran for a touchdown.
That's what it was.
Fields played.
I didn't get that game, so I wasn't
Fields
able to
only
watch it.
was on the field 4 or 5 plays. Lance was only on the field 4 or 5 plays. And then Trevor Lawrence. Everybody's talking about how he threw interceptions, but it was close to 300 yards, if not over 300 yards.
330
3 touchdowns.
yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
And I'm okay with that. Like, you're not a winning team.
Yeah.
And Houston putting a foot in their butt was very surprising. I thought it was going to be a lot closer.
I watched the highlights of Lawrence, all the interceptions and all the touchdowns and all that kind of stuff. And one of the interceptions was off his wide receiver's hands in front of him, in like 2 feet in front of him, a good catch anybody would make, slip through, safety caught it. And then another one was a little bit underthrown deep. That was another interception. The other one was right in the open. The defense wasn't playing man, they were playing zone, right into the middle linebacker zone. Like, you threw it and the linebacker jumped and got it. And I was like, so 2 of those, again, interceptions are interceptions, but it's how do you make the interceptions?
Right.
Do you make it on the run and you go up, I'm just going to throw it, and you throw it right to the defense because you're getting sacked? That's stupid turnovers.
Right.
Are you making them because the defense made a better play? Things like that. I think all the rookies that played did well, and I was very, very impressed with Mac Jones being comfortable, and I thought Zach Wilson looked really good. People were really low on him. I know they didn't win, right? But I think he looked. Nobody pulled out the Burrow-Herbert first games. Well, Herbert second, right? But I think in general, this class may take a few more weeks to get really in a groove than last year did.
It's so one thing you said in the very beginning, moral victory. You said something along the lines of moral victory. Browns KC.
Yeah.
That's not a moral victory if I'm the Browns.
No.
That's a sign of things to come.
Yep.
If you expect to go to the Super Bowl, you have to beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I picked the Bills to go to the Super Bowl. Everybody knows that. I picked the Bills last week to go to the Super Bowl. But the Chiefs just proved to me again, you cannot make a mistake. It doesn't matter how much you're up. If you make a mistake, they will come back and they will beat you.
Yep.
And the Browns made 2 mistakes in that game. Yep. Baker Mayfield threw a stupid interception, and the punter decided to mishandle the punt and then decided to run the ball when he still had time to punt it.
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
Kansas City scored 2 touchdowns on that. Boom, it's a game. They take the lead, and the rest is history. You cannot make a mistake against the against the Chiefs. No matter how much you're up, you cannot make a mistake against the Chiefs because they will make you pay. And as soon as they score, it is like a landslide, and they will beat you. And as much as I said last week, I just didn't want to pick a repeat. They looked like the best team in football in Week 1.
Yeah,
by far.
And what's weird is the Bills didn't.
Oh, the Bills looked awful.
They did.
Offensively, the Bills looked like they had no idea what they had in a quarterback.
I still think, and I'm going to go hard on this, and I'm going to keep saying it, if the Bills don't find a way to get a top-tier running back on their team, they're going to struggle.
Well, what's his name ran for 79 yards
on
11 carries,
I know.
And that's a good game. It's a decent game. But what I heard an announcer, analyst on NFL Network say this, and it made me think. The Bills played an offensive game that made you think they're making it so Allen wins the MVP.
Yes.
Okay, so instead of playing within themselves, they push too hard. Mm-hmm. And if you can correct that in Week 1, after Week 1, you can go. Now, losing to the Steelers hurts because, again, it's an opponent that, you should have beaten. I feel
it should have.
Steelers have an unbelievable defense. That defense is very good. So let's not take away anything from the Steelers' defense. Yeah. But you shut the Steelers out in the first half, and then the Steelers scored 23 points in the second half.
It was nuts.
You can't do that if you're Super Bowl aspirations and you have a team shut out in the first half. You cannot lose 23-10 in the second half.
No, it doesn't work like that.
It's So for me, I want to ask you a question, and then I'll answer it too. What is your biggest surprise from Week 1? I mean, if you want to look at what the matchups were, I have it right here.
I think my biggest surprise after looking at this, I'm going to just make it quick. My biggest surprise looking at that now would probably be that Green Bay looked like crap. And Aaron Rodgers didn't look good, and the Saints looked better than we thought. That game, to me, is a big circle that I was not expecting. And maybe I wasn't sleeping on Jameis. There's just not a lot of weapons there. I just didn't think...
148.
I know.
He threw for 148.
Because every interception that Aaron Rodgers threw was on their side of the 50.
Right. So he threw for 148, 5 touchdowns.
I know.
Okay, 5 touchdowns is great, but everybody's acting like he threw lights out.
No.
He threw for 148.
Yeah, 158.
158? I thought it was 148.
It might be.
But because I wanted to say it was like 307 that they combined for, or something like that, that they combined for. My biggest takeaway from Week 1 is the West is dirty. Mm-hmm. The NFC West and the AFC West are undefeated, and they all looked good.
Even the Broncos, even the Raiders, and that,
the Broncos beat the Giants. Okay.
But they looked
49ers beat the Lions.
But they looked good doing it. That's the thing.
Right, and I just look at it as the 49ers beat the Lions in a high-scoring game. Most people would think that the 49ers are game managers. They're going to win 21-15. Yeah. No, they won it. They put up almost 40 points, and they gave up 33.
Something I've said for a long time is win or lose, clearly you need to win games to make the playoffs. But let's say you're a losing team. Do you lose close games, but you looked okay in? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Did you win close games that you looked bad in? For example, it's one of those things where people are like, well, the Broncos beat the Giants. It's like, but they looked good beating a bad team.
Yes.
Now, again, with my Dallas, we lost, but we looked okay against one of the best defenses.
Okay.
It's not that it's a moral win, it's that you can improve upon it, whereas some teams looked really bad. Like the Bills looked bad in a loss. It's not that they almost won. The Ravens still looked good in a loss.
Ooh, I wouldn't say that.
But they were right there twice. I'm just saying, whereas the Bills, the whole game just didn't look in sync to me.
So you think the Bills losing to Pittsburgh is sort of the same as the Ravens losing to the Raiders?
I think it's worse.
The Ravens losing to the Raiders or the Bills losing to Pittsburgh?
Bills losing to Pittsburgh because both of them are playoff teams. I don't think the Raiders are.
Right, but both of them are playoff teams, so losing to a non-playoff team.
Oh, well, yeah. I meant in the long-run standings of things. Yes, you're right. Losing to a non-playoff team, the Raiders, it does suck, but I would say, like, the comeback aspect.
And I will say
the
this,
overtime aspect.
And I said this in our group chat, and I sort of wanted to just really just explain what I said. Deja vu with Dallas, okay? And in the first 5 games last year, they were 1-5. Dak played lights out, okay? Dak played lights out. Offense played lights out, except for Elliott.
Yeah.
Okay, except for the running game, played lights out. Same thing in the first 5 games last year. It's deja vu to me because again, the offense played lights out. The offense is going to be tough to stop. Okay, Dak doesn't just single out one player. I think losing Gallup is going to hurt.
Yeah, Cedric Wilson's really good too, but it will hurt. But I don't think it'll be enough to stop the offense. Production. No.
But my thing is this: is you've seen it.
Yeah.
You've seen that game before from Dallas. The offense keeps you in it or gives you the lead, and the defense just blows it.
Yeah, I think I will say the one small difference that I saw this year versus last year is I saw 3 takeaways from Tampa Bay, and I also saw pressure on the quarterback, which doesn't happen. Yes, I know we lost Lawrence. He's injured now. I know Anthony Brown was absolutely garbage, but Trayvon Diggs did fine. We're getting Malik Hooker back this week. He'll be starting at safety. That's a huge bonus.
Yep.
I saw glimpses of better, but nowhere near where we need to be. This defense that played Buccaneers, if it was the same defense in Week 1 last year, would have let 50 points happen.
Yeah.
But the fact that we were only within a field goal by the end
a couple of those turnovers, it could have been 50.
It absolutely could have been. 100%.
You know, and so, but again, Dallas capitalized when they had to.
Yep.
And I will say, if you want to take it as a moral victory, that's fine. If for me, it's just saying, if you see glimpses of better. I didn't watch the game. I was working. And so I watched it on the computer where I see the little digital thing going back and forth. And I see interceptions. I see this. I see a stalled drive. I see a missed field goal.
The field goal kicking was bad. But
again, you've seen it before.
Yeah, I'm not going to use
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I will say, I think he should have made more kicks, Greg Zuerlein. He was recovering from an injury. That's not an excuse. He should be on his point. Here's part 2 to that is I will say Dallas's front 7 looked a lot better this year. The secondary still needs help. That's why Malik Hooker was signed, but he has not been fully practicing because he doesn't know the defense yet.
Okay.
That's an improvement. I will say this, and this is on a limb here, is that Dallas will not win the Super Bowl with the team they have constructed. We know this. And I'm not even saying the NFC Championship game, but if they played like that against the best defense in the league, the best front 7, I only can imagine what they do against the Chargers with defense. And everyone else in the division, I mean this with respect to my friends, this offense against DC's defense, they're not stopping it either.
Okay.
It's just the fact is, can Heineke get past our defense now? This offense is good enough, barring health, and stays where we are. Yes, we lose La'el Collins, I know. But this offense alone can win 10 games. They stay healthy. But that defense is going to let 30, 40 points every time. And I just want to see what happens as the season goes on. I hope the defense gets better. That's all I'm hoping for.
Now, to put a bow on Week 1,
go ahead. Yep.
I do want to talk about the Bengals.
Go ahead.
1, I'm a fan. 2, I just want to say how good Burrow and Mixon looked in Week 1.
Yep.
Now, the defense was a lot better than what the points were. They had more sacks. They had more pressures. If it wasn't for a boneheaded 4th and 1 call on your own 30 instead of punting it, that game doesn't go to overtime.
Nope.
And the Bengals win that handily.
Yep.
I'm impressed with how Burrow looked, where in the first quarter and a half, it was sort of what Mac Jones was doing. The Bengals had the reins tight on him.
Yep.
Boom, 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 check down, hand it off, boom, boom, boom. And then all of a sudden they said, you know what, go, play. And you call the plays. We'll send the play in. If you see something different, call an audible and go. And they tied it up 7-7. Then he throws a 50-yard bomb to Chase, and Mixon is 28 carries, 129 yards, a touchdown, had 4 receptions for 20 yards. Mixon was a workhorse. Mixon was what this team missed, and Burrow only had 6 incompletions. He was 21 of 27 and 200 and something yards and 3 touchdowns, two touchdowns.
Yeah, because Mixon had one.
Yep, and I was very impressed with the way this team played. And again, I said it, I think, before we started, or I said it at the very beginning of the show. It's a game the Bengals normally lose. And they won, which is huge for me.
So one of the things I saw from the Bengals was, and a lot of teams like this is, did you win? I know you said a game they usually lose. Is did you win the 50-50 games? And what I mean by 50-50 game is, did you win a team that I would put in the same caliber as you?
Okay.
That's what I mean, right? So, again, I want to use my team here. Dallas beating Tampa Bay is not a 50-50 game. That is a team we should not beat with the team we have. If we do, that's a good win. Not just a win. The Bengals needed to win that game, and they did. And they played well. The offensive line had half the pressures on Burrow than they did last year.
Right.
That's an improvement.
No penalties.
I know.
That offensive line had no penalty, no false start, no holding, no personal fouls. They only had 3 penalties all game.
There was a couple plays where the defensive line got through, and I think you expect that. I think they're going to have trouble.
I mean, 5 sacks.
Yeah.
He got sacked 5 times, but at the same time, I'm looking at it as, again, sort of the way you look at Dallas's defense. It was better.
Yes.
They didn't lose the game for you by coming up with stupid penalties, killing a drive, killing a 5 to 7 yard run by Mixon.
I mean, the first 2 drives of Dallas's game was 3 and out by Brady. That was incredible. But then the next play, Mike Evans has 80 yards on our corner, and I was like, this is the exact problem. Our secondary is just as ass as Tampa Bay's secondary. And that's the thing is, did you see little moral victories? And I love it because a lot of people don't like it, but it does exist. Yes, the team is sad, but you're coming home as your team. Let's say the Bengals lost. They're coming home going, we played a good game. Burrow was healthy. Offensive line did better. Defense, without Reader. Is it Reader that got hurt?
Oh, no. Reader.
Who got hurt? The defensive lineman. Few weeks ago, but again, you're missing a defensive player. Can't think of his name.
The rookie.
The rookie. We're looking good. Did you look good? And is there areas to improve? But you're like, wow, these areas looked way better than we thought. And to me, the Bengals, I'm like, okay, Chase might have been lying about the ball thing. Could be a lie. Burrow looked comfortable. This is what you want.
5 for 101 and a touchdown.
A great game.
And so it was.
That's a CeeDee Lamb game.
So it was 4 for 51 because he had a 50-yard touchdown pass. I just look at it as it's something to build on, and it's something to say, put your hat on where we won that game that we normally don't. And if you lose that game, that whole thing creeps in. We're still not there.
I will say, though, before we move into week 2, I will say that I think, to me, that the ceiling for this Bengals offense is to look like Dallas week 1. And I'm not saying to be like Dallas. I'm using that as an example. You want to run more, clearly, but you want every player on the field to scare that defense. Does that make sense? And you want to be potent like that, but at the same time, your defense is better than ours. So if that offense keeps clicking and you score a lot of points and you're consistent, you're not turning the ball over, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I think the Bengals needed that win bad.
Yes.
So
I do too.
We got week 2 here.
Week 2, Thursday night is Giants-Washington.
Okay.
And people will be hearing this on Friday, so hopefully we get it right. I picked Tampa last week. I think you did also.
I picked Tampa, yep.
This week, this was hard for me. It really was. But I put it as this. Washington's defense is better than the Giants. Heineke is better than Daniel Jones.
Probably.
And so Washington wins.
I have Washington winning. I have them winning by 3. So
I think it's going to be a close game.
I don't think it's going to be a good game at all. I think Chase Young in the defense will look good, but I think offensively, I think both offenses might struggle a little bit.
Okay. I think a 3-point game, 4-5, something like that.
21-24, somewhere around
something
there.
like that. Yeah. But I see Washington getting that win and going to 1-1 this week.
Yep, that's what I have.
So then, in the way ESPN goes is since I have the Bengals as my favorites, Bengals-Bears is the next one.
Yep.
I didn't see anything from the Bears that scares me.
Yep.
I really didn't. Defensively, they didn't scare me. Offensively, Andy Dalton does not scare me. Even Fields, I think since we built a defense to deal with Lamar.
Yeah.
I don't think Fields scares me. The scrambling quarterback type thing doesn't scare me. So I have the Bengals winning this on the road.
Okay.
This is another huge test because it's a road game.
Yep.
And it's a game that they're not favored in again.
Yeah.
But I do think this offense will put up points, and I think the defense will stop them enough.
Yep. I have the Bears.
Okay.
The main reason is it has nothing to do with the Bengals being a better team right now. I have a hard time seeing the Bengals going 2-0, and it's nothing against them. It's that the Bears are still an unknown, and they're going to Chicago. It is a hard place to play. I understand that, and I just have a gut feeling the Bengals don't win this, but I also am not surprised if they do. Let me put it that way. This is not a lock 100% Bears win.
So one thing I have to say is the Bears going home could be horrible for them.
It could be, 100%.
Because you know those fans want Fields.
Yeah.
And if Dalton is struggling, you're going to hear them booing more than you're going to hear them cheering.
And I think I'm going to give the upper hand to the Bengals, even though I'm still going to pick the Bears. I think the Bears with Fields is more likely to win this game than it is with Dalton. And I think because of the using of the feet, and I think the team, I'm going to use a Madden term, but I feel like almost if Fields goes in, the whole team gets a boost because of who he is.
Okay.
But if this is an Andy Dalton game, the Bengals got to get this game. Imagine having a 2-0 lead on your division. That'd be incredible, especially if the Ravens somehow find a way to lose this week, which seems pretty likely they do.
Yes.
So,
Texans, Browns.
Yep.
Browns looked good enough, and the Texans played a bad team, and I don't know if they can put up 40 points on this Browns defense. They're not Kansas City.
Not at all.
By any means. A lot better than what I thought they were going to be. Let's put it that way, but again, let's temper it with you played Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Okay? I got the Browns winning this one easily.
Yep, I do too. Same thing. Browns winning. I have the first 3 games, all the home teams winning. Washington, Bears, Browns.
Okay.
And then you have the Bengals being the opposite one.
Yep. So Rams, Colts.
Yep. I have the Rams winning this game.
Okay.
I did not see enough for me to trust Carson Wentz on offense yet. And it's not really him. He missed a lot of time. Again, we had this conversation 2 podcasts ago. It might take them a few weeks to start getting to the level of the Colts playing. But the Rams with Stafford was special.
Yeah, I didn't see anything from the Colts that scares me.
It doesn't, no. And their defense looked a little worse than I expected.
Yep.
And Stafford, we remember, me and you know, we're football fans. Some of you guys listening may not be deep fans. You're just following us because you are. But if you do happen to listen to this, Stafford has always been this guy.
Yeah.
I like how they're like, Stafford's back. I'm like, he never left.
No,
he was just in Detroit.
He almost threw for 5,000 yards last year.
With
so,
Detroit. This is what we expected.
Yes, and that's why you have to put the Rams as Super Bowl contenders if they stay healthy.
Yep.
He spread the ball around, which he's done his whole career.
Yep.
Even when they had Megatron.
They had other wide receivers.
He still spread the ball around.
Yep.
The tight end looked good. That defense is good.
Yep.
And I just look at them. I mean, they got beat in time of possession by almost double.
Yep. Could you imagine the Rams with Cam Akers healthy?
That would be even scarier. But I want to make sure that McVay doesn't get pass happy, and they try to spread the ball. Like, they try to make a balanced offense.
But see, this is the thing. McVay can be McVay. If he wants to do the full Dallas type throw the ball 50 times, he can. You know why? Because he has a top 5 defense. He can do that. He doesn't have to run the ball.
Right.
That's the thing, is if he wants Matthew Stafford to throw it 50 times, Matthew Stafford can do that and not throw a pick.
Yep.
So, what we got next?
Bills, Dolphins.
Okay.
Probably on paper, the game of the week.
Probably.
And
this is huge for both teams.
Yes.
Huge advantage in their division.
The Dolphins and the Patriots, to me, are equal. Okay? Equal.
Okay.
And that's how that game played out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And, yes, I understand the Patriots had that game won, but Harris fumbled. The Bills didn't look good at all. Now, the Bills lose this game, they're 2 games behind the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's a long time to recover.
Yes, and it's hard to recover.
It's actually 2.5. It's 2.5 because it's technically a division game. I like to say half, so it's a little more valuable.
So I picked the Bills to win this game, but I have no confidence in the pick. I just don't have confidence in the Dolphins' offense to do anything.
No.
So I picked the Bills.
I have the Bills because I don't see them going 0-2. If they do, they're going to ask for their heads in Buffalo. I don't see them going 0-2 over the Dolphins.
Okay.
And I also don't see the Dolphins going 2-0. I don't see them being a team to start off 2 games because most teams that start off 2-0 make the playoffs and make a run. And I don't see the Dolphins having that kind of team. But the Bills are just starting slow to me.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So the next game is the next game in the AFC East, Patriots-Jets.
Yep.
Patriot. I have the Patriots. I think they showed me enough last week to say, yes, we will beat the bad teams in this league.
Yep.
Also, I think Bill Belichick will come up with something to confuse Zach Wilson and make him make mistakes. And I also think that this offense is better than what they showed. And I think as the weeks go on, more and more of the reins holding Mac Jones back are going to be released.
Yep.
And they're going to start pushing the ball a little bit more. So I got the Patriots winning this one, and I don't think it's close.
Nope. The spread is 8 at right now. I could see the spread happening. I could see them winning by 8. I'm just kidding. I have the Patriots. I have the Patriots winning, and it has really. Mac Jones looked good, and I know I've been kind of hard on him. Not as hard as y'all were on Herbert last year, but it's mainly because he's a Patriot. But I will say he is a good quarterback. I would have to say he needs this win, and him beating the Jets. I don't think it's going to be him beating the Jets. Belichick doesn't lose to the Jets. There's no. I see Belichick.
I think in the second half of the year, you're going to start seeing more of Mac Jones taking chances.
Yep.
He didn't take any chances this week,
and I don't think he needs to.
No,
again, we just talked about it before we went to the podcast because your family's in town, and I was just talking with your stepdad. I was just saying, really simple. Why would Patriots, unless the Bills go 0-2, and you're like, okay, maybe we need to gear it up, but just learn what you got. Make him comfortable all year. The Bengals were doing that. The Chargers were doing that until they realized, wow, we have 500 yards of offense here we can work with. But in general, just get him comfortable. Get him comfortable. I don't think the Jets are trying to make the Super Bowl. I don't think the Patriots are either. I just think the Patriots are the better team right now, and Belichick knows that.
Okay. 49ers, Eagles.
49ers.
49ers. Do you think losing Mostert for the season is bad? I don't think
the way Shanahan plays, those running backs that are there, I can't think of their names. They mentioned them in the fantasy show today, but they have a couple of them there. They're all good players.
Sermon, Williams.
There's another one. There's a rookie they drafted, another one.
Trey Sermon's the rookie.
There's another. Jermichael Finley? Something like that?
No, Elijah Williams or something. Or
it might be.
Something.
I can't
remember.
He
led the team in rushing last week. So
I don't think the Eagles' offensive line is going to be able to stop the 49ers' defense, and I think the 49ers. Yeah, and I think the 49ers win this game. This is a game they have to win. I just don't see the Eagles going.
I just don't think the 49ers are head and shoulders better than the Falcons, and the Eagles have to see what they can do against a top.
If the Eagles win this game, though, that's a very interesting eyebrow raise.
Oh yes, by far. That's
a huge.
A huge upset.
Yep.
Raiders Steelers.
Yep.
I had a hard time picking this game.
I did too.
And the only reason why is because the Raiders looked a lot better than what I thought they were going to be, but so did the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
So I went with the team at home, and I went with the Steelers. It's a short week for the Raiders, and you're traveling out. You're traveling east. I just see that the Steelers' defense is better than the Ravens' defense, and I see it being close, but I got the Steelers winning that close game at home.
I got the Steelers winning because of the defense. I don't think the defense with the line, the middle linebackers, the outside linebackers, and the safeties and corners, I don't think the Raiders have enough weapons. If you shut down Waller with 2 players, your line is good enough to still get to Carr.
Yeah.
I don't think the Ravens defense, and this is again, I'm real when it comes to the Ravens. I will be real when they're playing well. I think that defense is not good. I think they're somewhere around 15th in the league, and that's not good enough right now with how bad the offense is playing.
Right.
Steelers win this, and they need this win.
Okay.
To start off 2-0 in the division's huge.
We've only differed once, right?
So far.
Okay.
That was the
Bengals-Bears.
Bengals-Bears, yep.
All right, so Saints-Panthers.
Yep.
Panthers proved that CMC is the best running back in football last week.
Of course.
90 yards rushing, 90-plus yards rushing, 90-plus yards receiving.
He's an incredible dual-threat running back.
Yes, and
Derrick Henry, a pure running back, yes.
Yeah, but he's the best running back in football right now. And
by
far. Sam Darnold has a team around him.
Mm-hmm.
That defense, I'll say it again, is better than what people give them credit for. They're not a top 5 defense. When I say they're better than what people give them credit for, they won't lose you games.
Bend don't break.
But the Saints' defense was a lot better than what I thought they were. And that offense, Kamara's dangerous, and Jameis didn't make mistakes. Now, Jameis probably threw for the lowest amount of yards he's ever thrown in his career.
Yeah.
But he threw for 5 touchdowns. They took advantage of every single turnover they got. And Jameis is never afraid to take that shot. And he's got a great deep ball. And I just see the Saints winning this game. And everybody's starting to talk like they already are, that the Saints are the team to beat. I don't think they are. No. I think sooner or later they come back to earth, but I think they're better than the Panthers, so I got the Saints winning.
I have the exact same thing. I have the Saints winning I'll let you say, for the exact reasons you just did.
Yep. Broncos, Jaguars.
Yep.
Interesting game to me because I don't think Lawrence played as bad as what people say he did.
I don't either.
But I think Broncos are just a better all-around team. Losing Judy hurts.
Yep.
He's gone for 6 to 8 weeks.
They still have Hamler. They still have the other guy. They still have Cortland Sutton.
And they have Fant.
Even though Cortland Sutton's missed some games, I'm huge as he's a top 15, 20 wide receiver in the league, and he never gets the credit for it. Yep. He's really talented.
And Bridgewater is a non-mistake guy.
He'd never.
And Melvin Gordon did what nobody talks about him, but all of a sudden he rushes for over 100 yards, a couple touchdowns, and the Broncos win.
Yep.
I think the Broncos win again, even though it's in Jacksonville. I think Urban Meyer is a disaster, and I think the Jaguars are going to move on from him after this year.
Wow.
But I think the Jaguars are a decent team, but they're not a good team. So I got the Broncos winning.
I got the Broncos too for the same reasons. I think the defense is good enough to get the Trevor Lawrence. I think Trevor Lawrence has a better game, and I'm actually thinking he may not throw an interception game. But I just think that I think they're going to have a lot of 3 and outs. They're going to have 8 play drives then punt. 8 play drives punt. I think they're going to say, let's do a little more safer this week.
Okay.
Let's pull a week 1 Mac Jones thing, come back to earth. I think they tried because it's Lawrence. We got to be Lawrence, and we got to pop off. I think they're going to be like, all right, let's go back to Mac Jones. I think you're going to see a lot more running. I think you're going to see a lot more short passes at the tight ends, a lot more slants. But I just don't think it's enough to stop the Broncos right now. And I have this game being closer than people think.
Okay.
Like a point.
Okay.
Point or 3.
Vikings, Cardinals.
Yep.
Interesting game to me. Cardinals looked good. The defense looked very good last week against the Titans. I've seen this Kyler Murray movie before.
Yep.
He started the season off last year as a top wide receiver. A top quarterback in the season, and then he trailed off at the end. I've seen this movie before, but at the same time, the weapons are different. The O-line is different. The running game is different, and I have the Cardinals winning this game because I didn't see anything from the Vikings that showed me that they could stop an offense like this. And unless you commit to Dalvin Cook and keep that offense off the field, which the Vikings are capable of doing, I don't see them winning this game. I see it being a lot closer than what they did against Tennessee.
Yep.
But I see the Cardinals winning this game.
We've only differed once. I have the Cardinals too. I don't see any reason to pick the Vikings. The Arizona was one of the hottest teams all weekend. They looked the part. Their offense scored points. Their defense stopped the team they were playing. These are things they're supposed to do. They did everything they were supposed to do, and Kyler Murray's 4.5-foot ass did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
And again, I don't want to get there yet, but we're close to me putting Kyler Murray in the same sentence as we would Russell Wilson. Good for a few weeks, disappears for weeks, and is the reason sometimes you lose big games.
Yes.
And again, but that doesn't deny the talent. But there's sometimes it's like a 28-28, and you throw a pick 6 with a minute left. Not many quarterbacks make mistakes like that, but Murray is one of those ones. And I said pick 6. I don't know how many he's thrown, but I'm using that kind of example,
right?
Because I know someone will listen and be like, "Hey, he doesn't throw any pick 6s."
Right.
I'm using that example that Russell Wilson. People are like, "Oh, the defense." Russell Wilson fumbles on a play, or he throws. It's 3rd and 10. He throws it for 8, and they got a punt. Those are the decisions I'm saying Kyler Murray does.
Yeah.
I got Arizona winning this as well.
Okay. Bucks Falcons. Blowout.
Yeah.
Bucks.
This is my lock of the week. I got the Buccaneers winning
Okay.
over the Falcons.
All right.
I don't see the Falcons scoring nowhere near as many points as Dallas did last week, and I don't see the Falcons being anywhere near to stop the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
I think the Buccaneers looked rustier than people want to give them credit for, but I do also think, Tom Brady looked fine.
Again, is a problem.
AB's going to be a problem. We both talked about it a few weeks ago. I said in a lot of fantasy groups, people should draft AB as a late round flyer. He's going to be a problem.
Yep.
Tom Brady loves him, and honestly, I think it's great. They have 3 fantasy-relevant wide receivers, but I will say one of them, because of the way Tom Brady plays, he doesn't throw that many yards all the time. One of them is going to get pushed out, and I don't know which one it is yet.
So far, it's Mike Evans again.
I have a feeling it's going to be.
Godwin had over 100, AB had over 100, Gronk had 90. I mean, it was an
and this is not a knock at Brady, but Dallas's offense and Brady's offense aren't the same. I don't see Brady having games of 300 more very often. So those yards are going to have to be distributed, and you have catching running backs.
Yep.
Someone's going to be left out, and someone's going to say, hey.
Yes. Have we gotten to your upset yet?
We have not.
Okay. Next is Cowboys-Chargers.
Yes.
This is my upset of the week. I've got the Cowboys.
I do too.
I got the Cowboys winning this game.
That's my upset of the week.
And I do because I saw enough from the offense.
Yeah.
And I still think the Chargers are
going to put up 28 points? 25, 28?
Yeah, but I don't think the Chargers. I mean that I just see the Cowboys winning this game.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I looked at the paper and I was just like, no, I underlined the Cowboys before I said upset of the week. I underlined the Cowboys, and then I saw the Chargers were favored.
Favored by 3.
And I do think the Cowboys pull this one out in another battle.
Yeah.
But I see the Cowboys pulling it out.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because I believe in Dak more than I believe in Herbert.
Yeah. That's a weird sentence.
It
you
is
okay?
Well, it's just because
I know.
Herbert. I still don't believe that Herbert is a 5,000-yard passer.
Yeah.
I think Herbert's more of a 35-plus passer. But I think the Cowboys win this game.
I'll make mine quick. They're the upset of the week for me. I don't see them going 0-2 with the amount of weapons we have, or questions are going to be murmured real quick from McCarthy's head.
Yes.
But I will say this, I have 2 points to make here. One, and this is going to come off as something I've done on the podcast page with another friend of mine, Kyle, he's in some of the groups, is the Zeke talk is still needing to be put on hold as long as Saquon too. There was a game plan designed that multiple coaches came out to say that Zeke was not going to run the ball that much because the Buccaneers literally blitzed every play. There wasn't run available. This is the game that I'm going to pinpoint, saying with the way the Chargers defense is, Zeke needs to have over 80-plus yards. If he does not, this is a big question mark. Is he worth having on your team?
Okay.
Is he not worth getting rid of? And I'm not saying to trade right now, but I'm just saying, are you going to use him as a blocker? Because he had really good key blocks in the Buccaneers game.
I'll
huge.
say this, and I think I said it in the post that Kyle put that Saquon and Zeke are done. I think that's overstating it.
Yeah.
But I see, all of a sudden, in the distance, it's closer than what you think.
But could you see an opportunity where Zeke has 125 yards this weekend?
I'm going to tell you no.
No?
Because that's
you
not
think it's
McCarthy's
the game plan?
offense.
Again, McCarthy doesn't call plays, though. Kellen Moore does. It's not Kellen Moore's thing.
It's his offense. It's McCarthy's offense.
I know.
So McCarthy doesn't run the ball.
No. But again, but what if you had a situation, and we'll move on, is if you see Zeke only having 45, 50 yards like he did against the Buccaneers, but having 80 yards and catches, would that change your opinion of how they're playing the offense? Does he have to be a straight line running back, or can he pull more catches? Because he does do that. He does catch the ball, not as much as Kamara, but he does catch the ball sometimes. So my point is maybe this offense looks different, but I still think they have to run the ball more. And then my part 2 to this. If the Cowboys, and again, I have to use this, the Chiefs only scored 9 points in the Super Bowl against the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers returned the same team that Dallas that had a shootout at the Buccaneers' home. The Super Bowl was also the Buccaneers' home. My point is, if the Cowboys can do that with the Buccaneers, they should be able to do that with the Chargers. And they should be able to stop at least 1 or 2 more times more than they did Brady. That's my point, is that I think the Cowboys, it's a game they have to win. If they don't win, it's going to be a very interesting topic next week I'm going to have. Yep. So that's my upset of the week. But we can move on because we have the stardom and sit-ems too, so I want to get to that.
Titans, Seahawks.
Yep.
I got the Titans because I can't see them going 0-2.
I wrote the exact same thing. Titans 0-1. They're 0-1. I see them winning because I don't see them losing. And I don't think Seattle's defense that good.
And Seattle played the Colts. I think that's an overrated win. Mm-hmm. I think the Titans played bad. And let's see how they come back. It's going to be interesting, but I think the Seahawks defense isn't as good as the Cardinals, and I see the Titans winning this game because I don't see the Titans going 0-2.
Okay. The next one we can make quick.
Chiefs Ravens.
Chiefs.
It's my lock of the week.
Yep.
Chiefs.
Yep.
Lions Packers. Packers.
So I have the Packers too. So we have one difference. That's
Yep.
the Bengals game. Everything else we have exactly the same.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
So I'm really intrigued to see this week because there's a lot of teams that cannot afford to go 0-2. I'm going to use 3 teams, for example, that I think cannot go 0-2 at all. Ravens. I'm going to say 4. Ravens, Packers, Dallas, and DC. These 4 teams cannot afford to go 0-2 in the divisions they're in, or they won't probably. I mean, Packers could still find a way, but like Dallas and DC, if they go 0-2 and Eagles are 2-0, there's a huge problem in the East right now for those other teams to catch up because DC doesn't have the schedule to do so. Their schedule's not easy at all. But my point is, like, these teams, this is what I love about week 2. 2-0 is a magic number for making the playoffs. I know it's a stat. 72% of teams start 2-0. I get it. Some of these teams going 0-2, there's going to be a lot of question marks on the coaches, as is starting quarterbacks. A lot of questions are going to be starting week 3, and I'm ready for all of it.
Okay.
I can't wait.
All right. Would you throw the Titans in there? Or no, because of the division they're in?
Well, I would put the Titans in there, but at the same time, if I find them, the Colts won. Okay, for some reason I thought the Colts lost.
No, the Colts did lose. The Texans are the only team that won in that division.
Well, I don't know why I have the Colts at 1-0. I must have wrote that wrong. I thought the Colts lost.
Yeah.
No, because if the Colts were 1-0 right now, then yes.
Okay.
But I still think they have a chance. If the Colts were going 2-0 this weekend and the Titans went 0-2, that's pretty much 2.5 games you have to cover.
Okay.
Because the division difference in games. So no, I just think the Titans are going to need to win against their division, just like Dallas and DC are going to have to beat the teams in their division. If DC has to beat Giants, they have to win this game.
Yeah.
You have to beat up on your division.
Yeah. So how'd you do in fantasy?
I went 2-2.
2-2.
Yep.
I went 3-1.
Yep.
And I'm just really happy because in the League of Extraordinary Legends, I played Logan.
Yep.
And he traded me Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
And you traded me Joe Mixon.
Yep.
So I had Joe Mixon and Tyreek Hill for a second-round pick pretty much because and they both went off. And I beat Logan because Tyreek Hill had 40-something points. I whooped Logan's ass. It just made me feel happy. And the only league I lost in was the damn Show Us Your TDs.
Oh, my league.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I can't. No matter how good I think my team is in that
You're
league.
cursed in that league.
Yes, I never win. I never do well. But
I will say my most impressive was I did win in League of Extraordinary Legends, the group we're always in, and I've never done very good in that league. 5 years in now, my team, other than Eckler and Elliott, my 2 starting running backs, Lamb got me 30 points, Higgins got me 25 points, Waller got me 40. Like, my team balled. I'm starting 2 tight ends and literally balled out. My bench is just as good. I had a really good week in fantasy. I lost in the A.D.D show league. Wasn't very happy about that. Just want to let. I think I played Kyle. I wasn't happy about that because Gesicki didn't show up. Mike Evans didn't have as good of a game as I thought. Jones didn't have as good of a game as I thought. So again, it happens.
Yeah,
but
I won, but it wasn't an impressive win because I did play Dylan. Is it Dylan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did play Dylan, and if you've listened to the show, you know Dylan isn't very good at fantasy right now. He's learning. So it'll be interesting this week. I will have to say I'm a little upset because in the one league I lost to Chandler, and I hate losing to Chandler. It just bothers me. But for me this week, fantasy is interesting because Aaron Rodgers owners are pooping their pants right now because him and Devontae Adams did not do well.
And remember, fantasy season is only 13 weeks long. You got a lot less time to get your shit together.
Right, and so it's going to be interesting. I look at it as, in one league I'm debating on Herbert or Burrow to start in one league. And I think I'm going to go Herbert because I think Dallas's defense is a lot worse.
You should have saw me roll my eyes. Why would you not pick Herbert against that defense?
A lot worse than the Bears' defense. So
can I would say this. I don't know if you did this. You talked about start-sit. I did a list for every position.
Okay.
If that's okay with you.
Yeah,
I don't know if you did that.
Nope.
For anybody who listens to this, obviously they'll hear it before the week. My start quarterbacks that you should be starting is Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott, and Baker Mayfield. I think 100% if you have any of those 3 in your leagues, they should start.
Okay, I want to do Baker, only because I see the Browns. I'm looking for the Browns. The Browns are playing the Texans. I see a Chubb Hunt game.
It could be.
I see Chubb going for over 100.
Could be.
But
But I'm saying, but if you have you're going to start Aaron Rodgers. But let's say you have a Joe Burrow. Nothing against Joe Burrow. Let's say you have a Matthew Stafford. You potentially, I don't know who they're playing. I can't remember at the top of my head. But Baker Mayfield with that matchup against the 32nd ranked defense.
Yeah, Rams are playing the Colts. Colts have a good defense.
So.
I mean, you could start him. Who are your sits for quarterbacks?
Stafford and Derek Carr.
Okay. I see Carr. I think Stafford is a plug it right now.
Yeah.
I think he's a play it no matter what.
I think
until they prove that they're not going to throw the ball.
Yeah, but I think him being borderline top 10, unless you're a 14-team league, 12-team league, he should not be your starting quarterback in most 10-team standard leagues.
Okay.
You should have somebody else there, and let's say you have a Tom Brady. I would probably start Tom Brady this week. Or let's say you have a Dak and Stafford. 100% start Dak over Stafford.
Yeah.
But, if you have someone else and you don't really trust them, I probably would say Stafford's probably your best bet, but I would sit him if I had him on my team.
Okay.
Running back starting, I have Najee Harris, Eckler, and Mixon. 100% should start all three of those.
Okay.
Their defenses are wonderful matchups they're playing against this week. My sits are Mark Ingram and Josh Jacobs. The reason I'm sitting Josh Jacobs is because he didn't look good at all, even in the win against the Ravens.
Yeah, no, he didn't.
They didn't really utilize him, and yes, I get it was a shootout, but he's not being used at all.
What was it? 11 carries, 30-something yards, and 2 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns is what carried you for good points.
But remember, in fantasy, we love fantasy. Touchdowns are just called touchdown equity. You cannot count on them every week.
Right.
So I go into my football season in all my leagues wanting PPR or catches. I picked Waller because I don't think he's going to have a lot of touchdowns. He did for week 1, but he gets a lot of volume. Volume is king, not touchdowns. So if you're like, my running back had 30 touchdowns last year, he ain't going to get but 5 this year because running touchdowns don't stay the same.
Okay, I want to add one starter to that I think is going to have a great game. He had a very good game except for that one fumble last week. Damian Harris.
Yeah.
I think Damian Harris is going to prove to be at least a flex or a number 2 running back all season.
So when I do this, this is when I go through all of these for people listening. I'm going to do this every week, make a list of all this. When it's start, it means I want them in RB1 or RB2. I like him, but I don't want him at RB1 or 2 yet. He shouldn't be your RB1 or 2. If you did, you had a terrible draft. So in the future, his name might come up. But let's say you have Najee Harris in your flex, and you have Swift, and you have Derrick Henry. Somehow you could get Swift and Derrick Henry. I would probably be putting in Najee Harris, Eckler, and Mixon over Swift this week.
Okay.
And moving Swift out and putting, I don't know, Antonio Brown in your flex, something like that.
Okay.
My start wide receivers you have to start are Antonio Brown, Deebo Samuel, Keenan Allen. You should start all 3 of those this week. I already know Keenan Allen is already in a wide receiver 1 spot for most people. Don't sit him for anybody. Deebo is like a wide receiver 3 right now. He should be starting. And Antonio Brown should be moving into people's flexes this week. 100%.
Okay.
Got any questions?
No.
Okay. My sits, Michael Pittman Jr. Not looking like the wide receiver he was drafted in the 10th round. 1 catch. I think it was 1 catch. Henry Ruggs, no usage at all in Las Vegas. None.
Okay.
I think he had 3 catches for 5 yards or something. And Mecole Hardman, who has been wide receiver 2 for the Chiefs right now. But if you have him, I wouldn't put him on your starting roster now. Stash him on your bench, keep him for now. But they're not utilizing a wide receiver 2 at all.
Okay.
It's literally all of it is Kelsey and all of it's Tyreek Hill.
Okay.
So as long as you're wide receiver 2 there, you're just going to be flushed around. Any questions or anything? You got anybody to add?
I'm good.
My starting tight ends, yes, these are already people that start. I would 100% start Waller. If you have anybody else you were thinking about, you start Waller this week. Ravens allow a lot of points to tight ends. I think you also start Andrews. So they don't play the Ravens again, I'm sorry. You also start Andrews. Mark Andrews for the Ravens.
Okay.
No reason not to. I think they're going to start targeting him. Logan Thomas. Logan Thomas should be on everybody's roster starting because he is a very valuable weapon with another quarterback who's going to look to target him because I don't think he's that experienced yet.
Okay.
And my sit is Gesicki. He wasn't utilized. I wouldn't put him in my tight end 1.
He had 0 points.
I know.
Like, he killed me in 1 league.
I know. And then you texted me the next day wanting to make a trade.
That killed me.
It was bad.
So
my defense, if they're available when you hear this in your league, go pick up the Patriots defense right now. They probably won't be. Patriots I'd start this week, and I would 100% sit the Eagles defense.
Okay, yep.
For people who have them, I would not be starting them. That's all the position groups that I have.
Okay.
So those are people that are borderline quarterback 1, quarterback 2. I know I did the tight ends were different, but these are people that I would start over. If I had any of them other players, I would sit. So if you have Antonio Brown on your bench, but you have Kenny Stills, or not Kenny, what's his name for Houston? Cook?
Yep.
Is that his name? Brandon Cooks. I would be starting Antonio Brown this week.
Okay.
100%. I think the volume's there. I
Okay.
think week 1 proved that Tom Brady said, I want to throw to this guy. And he might even be moved up into some people's 2s.
Okay.
So,
All right.
other than that.
All right. I mean, I see it.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see some of that. Yeah, I didn't make a list.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at, it's interesting because Judy going down. I think Patrick goes up for the Broncos. I think he's a waiver wire pickup.
But I don't think you'd start him, though.
No,
We could do a waiver wire pickup part of the episode, but
The
I would say
kid-
starting, no.
the kid from the 49ers, is it Mitchell?
Yep.
He's
running
a
back, that'd be a
definite, he's
waiver.
a definite pickup.
If you hear this and that any of the San Francisco running backs are in your waiver wires, I would take this week to utilize, if you have the number 1 spot, to take him
Yep.
in your waivers. I missed out on him, obviously. I didn't have the high waiver. Excuse me.
I didn't have a high waiver either. I think somebody that is a must start, and I think somebody that's a must drop, that was probably, and I say drop because I mean it, somebody that was very high in drafts after his last preseason game, Callaway for New Orleans. I don't think he's going to see the volume. I don't think he's actually that good. But somebody that I think that is very good, and I will say it again, preseason technically doesn't mean nothing. I say Jamar Chase is a must start. I think Burrow is going to, in flex or as a wide receiver too. Burrow is going to look for him deep. And I think T. Higgins is going to be a PPR monster in the red zone. I think Boyd is going to have hit or miss this year.
He'll be like Gallup was last year. In most years, he'll be that third.
And I think, I think with the Texans, that running back, Mark Ingram, is an interesting waiver wire. I want to see another week of it to prove that they're going to use him. And also, I look at who's the Eagles wide receiver?
Devontae Smith?
Nope.
Rager.
I think he's a huge waiver wire pickup because I think he's going to be very good this year if he stays healthy.
Also, somebody I noticed I was on a lot of waiver pickups was what's the number 1 for the Giants? Well, I can't forget his name.
Shepard. Sterling Shepard.
No, what's the other guy? There's someone else there on the other
Galladay.
side.
Shepard.
I think Galladay should be a pickup too in some leagues.
Galladay was always drafted. Shepard wasn't.
So
Shepard
Shepard's the one
had
I'm
a
thinking
huge
of.
game, and
Yep.
I tried picking him up in one league, and I missed out on him.
I think I got him in that league. Then.
And he's available in a few others. But it's an interesting fantasy is an interesting thing because week 2 you start seeing trends.
Yep.
Week 1. If week 1 had anything to do with how good you are for the season, then Sammy Watkins would be a fantasy football stud instead of just somebody that every time you start him, he has a horrible game, and every time that you don't, he has a good game.
He's been like that since the beginning of his career.
Yes, and just to wrap this up, I hate to harp on it, but the Ravens are who I thought they were going to be.
Yeah, we both said that.
And I really hope they do start 0-2. And I really just want to hear the crying and the whining. It'll be very interesting in this division. If they start 0-2, Pittsburgh Bengals go 2-0, and the Browns go 1-1. You're down 2 games in your division. And it's a big hill to climb.
And they don't have an easy schedule at all.
No, and
I think it might be bottom 10, but still.
But the top heaviness of this schedule is very, very big, and I think the Packers are going to destroy the Lions.
Oh, 100%.
And everybody's going to be like, "Oh, it's okay." Da 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 da. But if they don't, oh boy. The Aaron Rodgers came back to tank.
Karen Rodgers
is going to be a topic, and they're going to just talk about it all week. Other than that, I really have nothing else to talk about. I don't know if you do.
I don't
have a
have
hot take. I'm on vacation, so
Yeah.
I'm chill. I'm relaxed.
I don't have a
you
hot
know,
clock.
Nothing has
My
made me
anger's
mad.
been lower, you know.
Yeah. So, but other than that, everybody have a good week too,
Yep.
and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. See ya.